Welcome to Amusings with Chelsea and Angie.
I'm Chelsea.
I'm Angie.
What's up, guys? So we are on
Part two
of the Murdaugh trial, and a little background story on everything that was going on in our opinions, and chit-chatting about it and stuff like that, because the verdict has come in. And yeah, so we're going to kind of pick up where we left off. Last episode we talked about
Stephen Smith.
Yes, Stephen Smith.
And Gloria Satterfield.
Yep.
So now we're going to go into the boat case. Well, what is referred to as the boat case, which is actually the death of Mallory Beach.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay.
And we're going to talk about what we've heard, Netflix series, and of course the HBO series in regards to the Murdaugh trial. Again, we are not associated with anybody or anything. It's just us chit-chatting, doing our thing. So, all right. As it was said, we're on the death of Mallory Beach. Okay. In February 2019, Alex's younger son, Paul Murdaugh, was charged with 3 felonies after the death of his teenage friend, Mallory Beach, in a boating accident. Paul's blood alcohol content was 0.286, which was over 3 times the legal limit to operate a motor vehicle. Yet, despite being the driver of the boat, Paul was not given a sobriety test. He wasn't taken to jail or
Arrested.
No handcuffs, no nothing whatsoever at all. He got special treatment according to people that were around the area at the time that this happened. The judge denied a prosecution request that, it was alcohol with a minor. So...
Okay, so
let's
now
go
we're
ahead
going
and talk about it.
Okay, so this is what I know. So, Anthony Cook, his cousin Connor Cook, and their girlfriends Miley and Anthony's girlfriend Mallory.
Yep.
And Paul and his girlfriend Morgan.
Yes.
They were going to an oyster
burn or something like that.
Oyster bake?
Yeah.
Clam bake? I don't know. Something to do with oysters. I don't know. I'm not from the...
near those waters.
Yeah. So they got in the truck. Paul drove to the convenience store.
Yes.
Used his brother Buster's driver's license to purchase alcohol. Then you see, they have surveillance video of all of this. Then they get on the boat. There are tons of the little Snapchat videos and that everybody was posting that, they were drinking and stuff. But then they got to the oyster party.
Oyster clam party.
Whatever. We're drinking there. They said Paul turns into this other person, Timmy, when he drinks too much. And he was becoming aggressive and just kind of a jackass. Then on the way, they wanted to take an Uber. They wanted to get home.
Be responsible.
Yes. Because some people know when to their limit,
Yes, absolutely.
But Mr. Big Shot Paul said, no, I don't want to leave my boat here. So they, I don't know, again, second, backseat driver, next day quarterback, whatever, you can't change things that have happened, but
yeah. Well, so again, a lot of people, if you're young listening to this podcast, you've probably
don't drink and drive.
You've probably had a drink, maybe not. Hopefully, you're smart and responsible. Your parents taught you right, or grandparents,
Paul's
or
parents didn't.
Whoever.
Paul's parents supplied alcohol at the house and let the kids drink at 16.
And
bad parenting.
And look, I see that two ways, okay? Coming from the aspect of your parents, tell you don't drink until you're 21, don't do this, don't do that. And of course, you get encouraged that you want to do it because you're not allowed to do it.
Yeah, but
and it's illegal, and they want to experience that and stuff like that. I had a friend whose parent would allow certain kids, not everybody, certain kids to drink at their house, but the rule was you don't leave the house. You stay the night and you're sober before you leave, sort of thing. And again, that was a semi-responsible thing to do, but at the same time maybe not necessarily a full responsibility, because it should be the parents' choice whether or not to allow that kid to drink. So, but again, that's just me on that account. I had a few sips of alcohol before I was legally.
Right, but they would say, here, have a sip,
have
and
a
then
sip
you go,
drink.
God, beer tastes like, licking dirt. And then I was like, I do not like beer.
Yeah, no, I'm not a fan. I'm a liquor person myself, but
liqueur.
But again, it is very, very rare that I drink. It's like minutely rare, but occasions happen where that comes into play. But again, these people right here at the time, they were, 17, 18, I think, years old around that time, and they're wanting to be kids and have fun and experience life. I got that, but just, oh my gosh, please be responsible. Please, please, please be safe and be responsible when you're doing that stuff. Unfortunately, this
was not one of those situations.
No, unfortunately.
So, they were headed back. Then Paul wanted to stop off at a bar, which was on the
lake.
On the lake.
Which
And
a lot of places have those.
Whatever. And him and I think Connor did a shot. Which again, both underage. Haha. And if you're already drunk, why do you go somewhere and get drunker?
Well, I don't understand something. Okay, so at the gas station, typically whenever I was younger, went to the gas station, you bought some alcohol or whatever the case may be, they grab your card, they scan the back of it, then they look at the ID to see if it matches. Again, this is the whole family special stuff.
Look, they're both ginger little clown heads. How do you differentiate? It's got super ginger red hair.
Well, I mean, I guess it beeps. You're not worried about it. You keep going on with your job. And okay, yeah, there's one case, but to have two different sets of people probably card this guy. If I know for sure that the gas station lady did because it was on the camera. Mm-hmm. But as far as the bartender, I don't remember seeing him card him.
No,
from the films of it.
It was far away.
Yeah. So if he did, okay, at least you did your due diligence. You tried, because obviously he had somebody else's ID that was still a valid ID, but still. But Connor, did Connor have a fake ID too?
I don't know. I don't know if he even. I don't remember if he took a shot,
or just that Paul maybe bought two of them and then slid one over to him. Maybe, I don't know.
So then they head back to the boat.
Yes.
Mallory and Anthony were together and heading towards the boat, and Morgan and Paul got into a fight.
Yes, and you can clearly see that on the video.
She is not happy.
On both the HBO and the Netflix series, that she's clearly just walking off because Paul's drunk. And, you know, there's such thing as there's too much alcohol, you become a different person. Absolutely. In this case, you could definitely tell that he was way off. And at the same time, it broke my heart to see that was Mallory's last minutes of, you know, anybody seeing her, any really video. I'm sure there was probably some more Snapchat videos or something while they were on the boat that they didn't release out to the public. And I absolutely understand why for the parents and stuff like that, but it was heartbreaking to see, and especially hearing from Anthony's side of it, that, you know, they didn't want to do it, but, you know, kind of hard not to tell Paul no, and he kind of got to follow Paul and all this other stuff. And had he stood his ground, you know, Mallory could still possibly be alive. And my heart goes out to him. It goes out to her family, his family, and all that, because they had to, all of them really, that they had to go through this tragedy. But just when you know something's not right, just stand up for yourself, walk away from the situation, know that it's a bad idea, and walk away. Just, me personally as a parent, I'm sitting here watching this, and it's just tearing me apart. Just to watch that going, why?
So they're on the boat, and I think that's when Paul, hit Morgan.
Yes.
And said, your dad can't even support your family. Basically saying because her mom worked.
Yep.
Whereas Paul's mom did not.
Just throwing the fact that he's got more money in the face.
Oh, it turns out he doesn't. So, to me, when she said that he smacked her, and her friend Miley was like, you could tell that wasn't the first time that he had hit her.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, Paul had to have learned that somehow from someone. Maybe his dad hit his mom and everything wasn't as, you know, super wonderful as everybody was saying in the trial. Oh, I'd do anything for her. Well, maybe not.
See, that that's another thing that just, I don't know why it grinded my gears so much about it, is your friends literally watched you get hit by this guy, and not anybody said a thing, let alone her herself.
At the time.
At the time.
But she did not tell them that she had been hit prior.
Yes. And I'm all about, you know, if somebody's abusing you, get out of the situation. I know it's hard. I know it's difficult and stuff like that, but you have got to just get out. Stand up for yourself. Fight back. Fight back as hard as you can and get out of the situation.
Because there is nothing that you could ever do for it to be okay for someone to smack you in the face.
No.
Now, if you started it, yes.
But in this case, yeah, it was no. You know.
So, I feel sorry for Mallory. I feel sorry for Morgan that she had to put up with that. And I feel sorry for Miley because she lost her friend and just found out that her other friend was getting hit.
Yeah.
So, they're on the boat. They're heading back.
Yep.
Paul's being a dick and is just doing, like, circles and driving around and just being a general jackass. And then Connor goes to take the wheel because Paul will just walk away from the
Right.
steering wheel. So Connor would grab it and, straighten it out and get them to where they needed to go. And then Paul would come back over and push him. And
I know at some point, oh my goodness, Anthony was trying to drive because he was a little bit sober, I guess, than the other two, or offered to.
He went with Mallory, I think, towards the front of the boat.
Okay, yeah.
And the only two, I think, that were in the back were Paul and Connor.
Well, because the two girls were on the cooler, is what they talked
Yeah,
about.
because
they
had
had
to
keep getting up to get drinks.
So, you actually see footage of the boat go under the bridge, and then it rams into the pylon. And you hear the 911, and Mallory was ejected from the boat.
But she wasn't the only one. It was also
Mallory.
Not Mallory.
Mallory and Miley, I think, because she had her
hand got tore up.
No, that was Morgan, wasn't it? I think Morgan got
There's
her.
so many M's in this case. It's hard to try to keep it all straight.
I think it was Morgan that got her hand messed up.
Okay, yeah.
So, police came down there. Somehow, I don't know how Paul ended up in just his boxers.
Yeah, that was really, really odd that he was, because if you look at some of the... Okay, so they had showed a few of the different little Snapchat videos and those stuff, and of course, when he's on the dock, he has clothes on.
Mm-hmm.
When he's on the boat, and the couple little videos that they did, he's got clothes on. On the video of the boat going in, and I'm assuming it's probably Connor's got clothes on, and whoever's next to him, clearly you can see a shirt.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know how he ends up just in boxers, but okay.
And mind you, this is February, and it's at night. It's cold.
Yeah, well,
well, he's probably not feeling any pain. By the way,
he's probably burning up and stuff from the alcohol itself and not feeling nothing. But I mean, even down here in the south, it may be a little chilly and cold. That water's going to be cold.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, it's going to be cold. But as far as being outside, the temps may be warm. It may be it looks like it was kind of cool according to some of the photos and videos and stuff, and the way that they talked about how they do this oyster cookout or whatever the case is. But yeah, I mean, they're freezing, they're freaking out. There's a lot of confrontation. There's a lot of talking going on between officers, and
Anthony is yelling at Paul, saying, "What are you grinning at? You should kill my girlfriend," and a bunch of swear words. He tells one of the officers, "Yeah, you know who that is? That's a Murdaugh. Good luck."
Yeah.
So Paul, it took, I think, a couple people to get Paul restrained on the ambulance gurney. So they finally get him and take him to the hospital. They take Mallory, because her hand is messed up, and they take Connor.
Morgan and Connor. Mallory's the one that's missing.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Anthony stayed behind.
Yes, because he was determined to find Mallory.
He did not want to leave her.
At the hospital, this is where shenanigans come into play.
Well, shenanigans came into play even before that. They're out there, right, and the ambulance is already there, and parents are even showing up. Nobody has called Mallory's parents at this point.
Mm-mm.
So, again, still, Mallory's parents have no idea what is going on. The kids are already at the hospital. Stuff's going out. Paul somehow managed to get a hold of his granddaddy.
Yeah, Paul called his grandfather, Randolph, and Randolph and Alec showed up at the hospital. And Alec pulled out his little prosecutor badge, which he isn't even a full-time prosecutor. He has maybe helped try one case in like 4 years or something.
Something like that, but he's in the hospital. He's telling everybody, you know, shh, I've got you. I'm covering, I'm protecting y'all, so on and so forth. And trying to turn this around where it doesn't look like Paul's at fault when you've got how many people? You've got Miley, Morgan, Anthony, and Connor.
Saying
4 other people saying Paul.
Was,
and all of a sudden now he's trying to turn it where it's Connor.
Yeah.
While Paul and Connor were both driving the boat. Okay, yeah, I got that. But you can even see in the video clip, the minute clip that you see, Connor's right here. And in the
Netflix one, they
reenact the trial with the little dummies.
Yes, Mark Tinsley, who is the Beach family lawyer suing the Murdaughs.
Yes.
He did a reenactment of the boat crash and the injuries that Connor got would only have been possible if he was on the right side of the boat, whereas the wheel of the boat is on the left side, which is where Paul was.
Where we understood where he got the chin injury is where I guess the poles for the deep sea fishing or something like that go into play right there or something like that.
I think so. Where he got cut on the jaw, and he also broke some glass where his hand hit.
Went through. Yep.
So Alec is walking around and kind of intercepting the investigating officer of the, hey, what's going on? And he's like, oh, yeah, I got this. Don't worry about it. Yeah, I got this. It looks like that Connor kid,
is at fault.
Yeah. And he went in there, and I guess he told Connor not to say anything. And then next thing, Connor knew, he came out of the room, and he was being told that he was driving.
Yes.
And he's like, my best friend just threw me under the bus.
Yep.
And I'm like, wow, Paul is a grade A good guy, isn't he? Your best friend just, blamed you for this whole mess.
Yes. And it's crazy that the way that they spoke and how everything went down in the hospital and stuff like that. And they show you pictures of Paul, and he just looks just not the other pictures that you normally see him.
He looks like
chaotic.
It looks like the lights are on, but nobody's home.
Yes, definitely.
Glazed over.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And they said he didn't have a whole lot of injuries from the accident, which when you're drunk, your body's pretty much in a full relaxed mode. So of course when he flipped, hit, whatever, he just kind of went, and he was good. So of course, and again, I still don't know about the clothes, but it's like, dude, this is nuts. Just everything that was going on at that hospital. And
back at the site,
Anthony is...
Was it Anthony's parents, or was it... Okay, Mallory's parents hadn't been told yet.
No, not yet at this point. And it's already, I think, been over an hour.
Yes.
And I believe it was Anthony's parents that were like, do we need somebody needs to call Mallory's parents and stuff like that and tell them what's going on. And, I was just like, what in the heck is wrong with this police department and these people? Mm-hmm. Because usually, now I'm just saying from experience on my end, having a car accident, the second you go in an accident, they pull, if you're a child, they pull who you are, and they say, hey, we need to find next of kin and stuff like that, and let them know, and hey, is there somebody we can call, or whatever, and the case may be. And it's like pretty immediate. I mean, I had my accident, and probably within 20 minutes, if that, my parents were notified. Mm-hmm. So this was just, what the heck?
And I think when they were notified, they drove down and were not allowed to go down where the accident occurred.
Yes,
her mom wanted to go down to the water.
And they wouldn't let her.
And they wouldn't let her. And then,
however, dun, dun, dun.
Grandpa Murdaugh, Randolph, came rolling up in a truck with Maggie, that's Paul's mom, and they were immediately let down to where the incident occurred.
Which I think is ridiculous.
Yes, because
these people, what the...
Well, Alex's brother, John Marvin, was allowed to take his trailer and take the boat before SLED was able to document any of the, do their crime scene investigations.
Yeah. They wanted to get it out of the way. And there was pictures taken of evidence that didn't get bagged and taken away and somehow magically disappeared. Mm-hmm. Hello. We're just magicians over here. Stuff just happens and poof, it's gone. Oh my goodness. So, just sprinkle on.
And some of the people were friends of the Murdaugh, so the hinky shit was going down.
Yeah.
So Mallory's mom, I think, was sitting in a truck.
She was sitting in a truck, and then this was like a day or two later. Why Mallory is still missing? Because
they didn't find her for 7 days.
Correct.
And then Maggie got into the back of the pickup and said something along the lines of, what if they don't ever find her?
And it's like, how can you think like that?
Yeah. And I'm like, wow, did you just say that to this lady? Mm-hmm. That's a bunch of bull. I'm going under the theory that maybe she meant, if you can't find the body, you can't charge anybody, or whatever. I don't know. It came off very rude, very callous.
Yes.
Kind of like, hey, she's sleeping with the fishes. Kind of rude.
Absolutely. And it's... I'm sorry. That is just something you don't say to a parent like that. I mean, okay, what if it was your kid? Let's flip the case. What if it was Paul? Later on we're going to talk about that, but I don't understand these people. I really don't. Some of the stuff they say and do and stuff like that, and watching all this stuff is just mind-boggling.
Okay, I'm going to call it bullshit backwood hillbilly shenanigans is what it is.
Yes.
So they finally find Mallory 7 days later.
Poor girl.
And I don't know how long it took them to charge him.
So that would have been, I believe it was in 2021. So the Beach wrongful death case began unraveling of Alex Murdaugh's crime enterprise, exposing the financial information and the spiral.
Well, we get to that later.
And all that. Oh, no, sorry. As of September 2021, he still wasn't charged at that point.
Yeah, he was.
As of September 2021, SLED investigators allege police may have been persuaded not to charge Paul. So.
Well, when does it say he was arrested? He was arrested because I know there was a lot of brouhaha, but he did finally get arrested or arraigned. There were no, he showed up for court, and I think Jim Griffin, who is one of the attorneys that was defending Alec, was his lawyer.
Yes.
And there was no bail, and there's no handcuffs. He just showed up. Then they took his mugshot in the hallway of the courthouse.
Yes.
And then he went home.
Exactly.
And a whole bunch of people basically were calling what I call bullshit.
Okay, so in April of 2019, he was charged with the felony count of the boat under the influence, but he pled not guilty to all 3 charges. He didn't get to stand trial. He was killed before then.
Yeah. So, and that's the boat case.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Anthony or Connor or Mallory, not Mallory, Miley or Morgan basically have anything to do with Paul anymore, because who wants a friend that'll A, almost get you killed, and 2, throw you under the bus?
Yeah. And there was parts where, they were trying to go to get him on these felonies and stuff like that, and I guess Anthony saw him later on at some point. They had crossed paths or whatever.
Oh, yeah, when Paul finally showed up at the bridge where Anthony was still looking for Mallory, and he looked across the bridge, and Paul came over and said, "I love you, man." And he said, "Yeah, okay."
Yeah. And it's just, it was this horrible situation, horrible case, and stuff like that. And again, with this one, that case in particular, just learn a lesson from these guys. If you're learning anything, is to be responsible when you're drinking, whether you are underage or overage.
Don't operate any type of machinery, be it a saw, a golf cart, one of those little razor scooter thingies, because you could fall off of that and break a leg or an arm.
Or a vehicle or a boat or just anything in general. Be responsible. Don't
drink and operate.
Don't drink and operate, and, preferably wait until you're 21 to drink, and do so responsibly. I know a lot of kids don't listen to that, and just, if you're in a situation where you need help, call your parents. They're only going to be mad at you for a little bit, but at least you're going to be here for the long run.
And then you get to throw up and have a banging headache.
And the other thing in this one, just with this case is, just be responsible. Take up for yourself too. Don't ever let anybody hit you. If you're in a situation where somebody is hitting you, beating you, there are helplines all over the world that you can call and contact. Google, talk to a friend, somebody, get help. Absolutely get help. So yeah, rest in peace, Mallory. I'm sorry for your family and stuff like that, and I'm sorry for everybody that had to go through this and was involved, and it hit them at some point, whether it be a friend, a family member, whatever the case may be. This just was all around bad. So
I will say one thing. A lot of people were saying when Netflix dropped the 3-part series, they were like, do you think they did it because of the trial? Do you think it'll have anything to do with the trial? No, because the jury is not supposed to read anything, watch anything, basically put blinders on, put, muffins on your ears. The reason it was dropped when it was dropped, because it would have been the anniversary of her death, and the trial was only supposed to be a 3-week trial.
Yes, and
well, there's a reason it turned into a 6-week trial, but we'll get to that later. Yeah. Okay, so that will lead into the June 7th,
2021, the murders of Maggie and Paul Murdaugh.
Okay, so leading up to this, Maggie was spending less and less time in Hampton because she felt like she was being shunned because all the media and social media press and how they were saying that it was Paul and it was the Murdaughs, blah, blah, blah. So she didn't really have a whole lot of friends in Hampton. So she started hanging out like in Charleston and Edisto, where she, wouldn't be harangued and looked down upon because of, what her last name was and what a horrible person she was.
Yeah.
So she was staying in Edisto, which is their beach house. Again, I'm not from South Carolina. I don't know where any of these places are. So they have the 1,700-acre hunting lodge. That's my bunny ears right there. Hunting lodge. Where I think
Paul was staying.
Well, no. I think Paul was living with his uncle.
He was in a cabin by himself. He was still, because he was supposed to be like kind of laying low, and he was still throwing parties, and people were still showing up and taking pictures with him, and there's more Snapchat videos and stuff like that while he is on trial.
Well, getting ready for trial,
for the death of Mallory Beach. And here he is just partying it up like nothing ain't ever happened.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, what is wrong with these people? It just aggravates me so much. So, but I know he's at a little cabin somewhere and stuff like that, but I don't really remember exactly how Maggie and them were there. Do you?
Okay, yes.
Tell me.
So, Paul was staying with his uncle John Marvin because he worked at his rental place.
Okay.
So he was like a dirt boy. He worked the equipment, anything that needed to be cleaned or whatever.
Yeah.
He did that for his uncle's
business,
rental property or rental
business.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they had planted some sunflower seeds.
Okay.
I don't know if you get doves that way or if you get ducks, I don't know. It was to lure some poor animal onto their property to kill it. Like you would put water in a pond and lure a duck. I think it's doves. I don't know.
I believe so. I could be wrong.
So the gardener, groundskeeper, I guess, sprayed them. And Alec had called Paul and showed him the sunflowers and said, these are dying, we have to replant them. I guess if they're gonna make dove murder season, whatever it is. So he asked Paul to come to Moselle to look at the sunflowers. It was such a weird thing. I don't understand hunting, so. And Maggie.
For doves.
Okay. Maggie was in Edisto. She was having work done on the house because they were getting ready for. Okay. There are 2 holidays that start the summer. It's either Memorial starts it and Labor ends it. It was whichever one was coming up.
It'll be Memorial Day.
Okay, so because they were going to have a party.
Well, no, Memorial Day would have already happened.
Okay,
because
so
Memorial's in May. Labor Day is not till
like August,
September.
Okay. So,
and we're in June, so they must have just been having some sort of soiree.
So she was getting the house done because she was going to have a Labor Day thing. So she was going to stay there.
Okay.
Then Alec had said, hey, come to Moselle because I'm going to go and visit my dad. And she was like, okay, I guess. So because she didn't have a problem visiting his dad.
Mm-hmm.
She really didn't like visiting his mom because she has Alzheimer's, and it's tough.
Yeah.
It's horrible. So she said, yeah, she would go and see
the house,
see his dad, and stay there. So on her way home, apparently she called her sister and said, I really don't want to go. And you could tell when her sister was talking on the stand that she felt really bad because she encouraged her sister. Well, yeah, it's, your husband, you gotta, just support him and, go and see his dad and stuff. She felt, you could tell, broke her heart, like, oh my God, I can't believe that. So Maggie was like, yeah, you're right. So she went to Moselle.
Mm-hmm.
She also texted Blanca, who is the housekeeper of Moselle, that she was leaving Edisto, and this is going to be rude because this is what she said. She said, I left it unlocked. I hope the Mexicans will lock it up for me. Which I meant, I took to mean the workers.
Yes.
Who were working on the house. Because to me that showed that no, she was going to stay there.
Yeah.
That she had not planned on staying at Moselle.
Okay.
So she sent that to Blanca and said, can you cook dinner, and Blanca did. And so then Maggie went to Moselle. Now,
Dun, dun.
There is a huge difference into what Alex Murdaugh testified
Okay.
on the stand, and as to times and what actually occurred. So what actually occurred was that at about noon, Alec went to work, and Blanca saw him and fixed his collar on his shirt, so she knew exactly what he was wearing. She did his laundry. She knew, everything. And so before he left, she fixed his collar, and he left. So then he goes to work, and he's there until, I think, about 6:30. And then he comes to Moselle, and then I think Paul does. Now I'm getting my times messed up because I can't remember. I know it ended up to be around, maybe Paul showed up at 7?
I believe that was around the right time, yeah.
And then Maggie not until after that. So Alec and Paul rode around on the little ATV.
Yep. Checking the dog kennels and...
showing him the stupid sunflowers. And there's a Snapchat video of Alec with this tree. And it was a tree apparently that had blown over, and he tried to, tie it up with string so it would stay straight.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, Paul was laughing because it had just flunked over again. And you can clearly see that he is wearing a bluish shirt and khakis and
loafers,
leather loafer type shoes. So then I guess Maggie comes, they eat, then Maggie wanted to go to the kennels. So she got Paul to go with her because she didn't want to go by herself.
And this is around, 9 o'clock?
It's about, I want to say 8:30-ish,
Yeah.
Closer to 8:30, 8:40. And then Maggie asked Alec to go down to the kennel, and he said no. This is what he said on the stand, mind you.
Yeah.
And then on the stand he said, but I ended up going, he said he had already showered and didn't want to go down there because it was going to be a commotion, and he didn't want to get all hot and sweaty, whatever. So what we know happened is that Maggie and Paul were down at the kennels around 8:44. There are 2 or 3 house dogs, which they don't let up to the house because Buster's got allergies or eczema or something, but it doesn't make any sense because Buster doesn't even live at Moselle.
Yeah, that's really odd.
Yeah. So there's Bubba and Grady, they're 2, I think they're both labs.
Okay.
And then there are some hunting dogs.
Okay.
Which they keep down at the
at the kennels.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Maggie you can tell that she had let Bubba out. And Paul had called his friend Rowan because he had Rowan's dog Cash there. And Paul had said, I think something's wrong with Cash's tail. And Rowan had said, well, FaceTime me and show me, because his girlfriend knew a vet that could come and take a look at it if it was something serious, that needed to look at. So there is a 11-minute failed FaceTime, and he said if you don't get the FaceTime, because they have weird reception out there, send me a video, which is what ends up being the thorn in Alex Murdaugh's side. Because on this video, you see Paul going into Cash's cage. And Cash is wagging his little butt, and he's like, hey, buddy. And you can hear Maggie say, oh, Bubba's got a guinea. And then you hear Paul say, that's not a guinea. And you can hear Alec say, that's a chicken. Come here, Bubba. And so
he's there.
He's there. And he apparently didn't know that this video even existed until
the trial.
Yes.
Oh wow. Because he was denying being down there the whole time before it, leading up to it, and
even to the 911 people, he was like, I haven't seen them for like an hour and a half, 2 hours, and we're like, bullshit. So we know something happened. I don't know if he pulled the trigger. I can't say that 100% sure he did. I don't know if he paid someone to do it. I know he had something to do with it, because how do you not hear? He's like, I was up at the house taking a nap. How do you not hear like 7, 8 shots?
Yeah, that's crazy not to. And because, like, I don't know how to explain it. The video is obviously going to be that little nail in the coffin for him part, but there was so much going on, and how all this stuff happens to one family. Good Lord. You got some bad juju on you.
Backwood hillbilly shenanigans coming to bite you in the butt.
Yeah, understatement of the century there.
So I'm going to speed through this. Okay, so he says he's napping. He never went down to the kennels. He was napping, and then he texted Maggie, hey, I'm going to go see Mom, because his dad had been taken to the hospital earlier that day. Okay. So he goes to his mom's house in Alameda, I don't know. And it takes about 15 minutes, which, by the way, during the trial, he was driving 18 miles an hour.
Why?
At 9 o'clock on a hillbilly road. I would not want to go that fast, because if you hit a deer, that's going to wreck you bad.
So, I mean...
Why would you be going 80? I drive like a grandmother. I admit it, but come on.
But, I mean, like, even for me, which you know I...
Oh, my God. Crappy driver.
Shush it. So... I get it going down the gravel roads. I've learned my lesson.
Oh, no, these are
dirt
paved.
roads.
These are
Oh,
paved.
these are paved? Oh, okay.
I still
Well, see, like, they're a little bit fancier then. So...
They don't have street lights.
I know, but I wouldn't be going 80, but I wouldn't necessarily be going 10 miles an hour either.
No, a nice 50 would be appropriate.
Yeah. 50.
I may say 60 if you're a better driver than you. Yeah, I said it. But 80?
Yeah, that's a little much. I mean, why are you in such a hurry?
His mom ain't going anywhere. Yeah. So he's going 80 people to his mom's house.
Mommy dearest.
So he pulls around the back, calls the caretaker that he's there, but in the 5 to 6 minutes before he calls, he's messing around over by what they call the smoke shed.
Mm-hmm.
I personally think probably disposing of evidence, but that's just me. So then he calls the housekeeper, Miss Shelley, and says, "Hey, I'm here, open the door." So she comes and opens the door, and he comes in there and holds his mom's hand, and they were watching a game show.
Okay.
What was it? America Says? Yes, because I would watch it on the Game Show Network.
I was about to say, you're the one that's notorious for watching those and getting the answers almost every single one right.
So Miss Shelley said that, he basically laid on the bed and watched about 15 minutes of TV and then said, "Okay, well, I'll see you," and left.
Now, let me just pause real quick. So you leave around 8:40 something at night, or 9 o'clock.
He left Moselle at about 9:04.
Okay, so you're leaving at 9 o'clock at night. First off, to go see your mom,
who is, by the way, probably asleep.
or watching the show, getting ready to go to bed, and you drive how many minutes?
About 15.
Okay, you're driving
going 80.
So 15 minutes going 80 miles an hour. Yeah, you're there quicker than 15 minutes, and you're there for about 15 minutes. You drove all that way for 15 minutes. I'm sorry. I drive. Occasionally, I'll drive to my parents' house, which is about a 10-minute drive.
Oh, I wouldn't even say it's 10.
Yeah, maybe not.
Because you get up on a little freeway and you zoom around.
True, but include the stoplights, okay? Give me a 10-minute window, okay? But I go to my parents, driving 10 minutes. I'm usually there like 30, 40 minutes, unless I'm literally going to let the dog out and then.
Right.
But even still, I'm there for at least 20, 30 minutes at max. Because I let the dog out, put the dog, love on the dog, stuff like that.
Go in the refrigerator, see if there's anything to eat.
Grocery shop. But
do a little chit chat with Miss Shelley. Hey, how's it going? Things going good? Yeah, how's Mom been doing? Oh, she's been doing good? Yeah. But no, they watch TV, and then he's like, "Yeah, okay, I'll leave." And she said he was wearing shorts, a t-shirt, and some kind of cloth boat shoes, what I call...
Hey Dudes, something like that.
I don't know, kind of like Vans, like Dickies or...
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So...
Hey Dudes is his new style shoe. It's very comfortable.
Yeah, okay. So,
I like your Bob shoes.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I'll get her there.
Bob's donates to animals. Okay, so then he, for some reason, goes across the train tracks. I missed that part. I got lost. So then he comes back home, not doing 80. Oh, weirdo. Because he probably already knows they're dead. And he says he goes up to the house, which doesn't make sense because there are two entrances. There's the one by the kennels, right, and then there's the one that goes by the brick entrance thingy.
The fancy one.
It's not really fancy. It's... yeah.
I call it fancy entrance because it's got the nice brick on both sides and the gate opens up. It's the fancy entrance.
I don't think it has a gate. It's just two.
I'm pretty sure I thought it did.
No, I don't think so. Anyway, so he goes through the front entrance, which again, stupid. And the kennels are to the left.
Mm-hmm.
And if Paul and Maggie were still at the kennels, the lights would be on, which they were. So he goes to the house, and the house is locked, which I'm like, why do you even bother if you knew that you're... Anyway. So he's like, nobody's up at the front big house. Maybe they're down at the kennels. So he gets in his little golf cart and, no, he gets in his Suburban, my bad. The golf cart thing was when he murdered them, allegedly. So he gets in his Suburban and drives it down there that big whopping 2 seconds. And then he says that he went and checked saw the mess.
And then it's the pretty little phone call, right?
Yeah.
So, can I say about the phone call? All right, so Alex calls the police from his cell phone at 10:06 p.m., saying he has discovered the body of a 22-year-old son, Paul, and his 52-year-old wife, Maggie, near the dog kennels at their family's hunting lodge in South Carolina. Both have been shot multiple times, and Alex reported the time of killing was probably around 9. So first off, how did he know it was around 9? Because
how do you know what time you need to lie about unless you know when they were murdered?
And here's my other thing. Okay, on the call, he says he's found his wife and child. Like, he's very particular on his words. If you listen to the 911 phone call, his wife and child. I'm sorry, whenever, maybe I'm just overthinking this, and I probably am. When I'm saying one of my family members is hurt, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's my mom and my brother. Or it's, my fiance and my daughter. The word daughter automatically is your first vocabulary word. Maybe in South Carolina it's a little different. Maybe they say my child, but that just sounded so practiced.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was set
First of all,
perfectly.
I would not be able to blubber out any words. I would be lucky to get out my address. Blood. Yes.
He sounds like he's trying to be frantic on the phone call, but very calm at the same time, and saying that, my wife and they have like no pulse, they're dead.
So, beep beep beep, here we go. It took from the time that he got out of his car to the 911 call, 16 seconds. I'm sorry. It would take me longer than that if I saw what was there. It would take you longer to check a pulse. because you have to find a vein and take a pulse.
Or you're laying your head down to hear the heartbeat.
You're like, oh my god, tears.
Yes.
Oh my god. And then you go over to your son. Oh my god. You would have blood on you.
Exactly.
I would have tears everywhere. I would look like shit. And I would be covered in blood.
I mean, I honestly don't think I would even be able to let go of my loved one to go to make the phone call. I know I would have to, but it would be more than 16 seconds.
Right.
It would be way longer than that, because I'd be like,
I can't process crap in 16 seconds.
And it's just, like I said, it sounded very, very rehearsed.
Mm-hmm.
And
he made sure to say, I was at my mom's, I left them, I was there about an hour and a half or so, and I saw them 45 minutes before that. Yeah, nice of you to throw general times out so that you're free and clear of what the giant mess you just made.
Exactly.
So, the first responder cop comes up, and you see body cam footage.
Body cam action.
And he's wearing a white t-shirt and green like kind of
cargo shorts, yeah.
And white and orange and yellow trainers, tennis shoes.
Oh, so he switched out of the shoes again.
Hinky dinky again, yes. And he says, I was at my mom's for like an hour, and I came and I found them. So he, right off the bat, lies. Which comes into play later when on the stand he said, I lied because I didn't trust Sled because they did one of my friends wrong. Well, he didn't lie to Sled right there. He lied to 911. He lied to the first responder right there.
Yeah.
So Sled had nothing to do with it. You're covering your ass.
It's crazy how all that, everything that went down in the courtroom as far as him trying to testify and tell this story to benefit him and to show that, I'm innocent and stuff like that. Here's my thing. Here it is, okay? So Maggie and them were murdered. There's something fishy going on. There's obviously stuff going down. You took your cell phone with you. Your cell phone's active. Your son's cell phone's active. And your wife's cell phone's active. Okay? They ping off towers every time they get a text message, they get a phone call. If you open it up to check, it pings off an area and stuff like that. It has location.
Right. And the prosecution made several points to say that Alec was always on his phone.
Yeah.
But from 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock, nothing.
Exactly.
Like, it was turned off.
So.
Which I think is why he thought, they're never going to find out I'm at the kennels because I turned my phone off. Ha ha ha.
But as soon as I turned it back on, dun dun dun.
Yeah, and then that shows him
leaving
Moselle. Because he didn't know Paul recorded the thing. And he got
busted.
Caught. So now I don't know why he did it. The prosecution was saying that he had pressure because of the money that he had been stealing.
There was a lot of stuff that people talked about, and of course, me, I was on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram. I've been on a bunch of different things with people saying what they think. His Oxycontin addiction, the embezzlement of money, Paul's case that was going against him for the boat trial.
Because Paul was being charged, but the Murdaughs were being sued civilly.
Yes.
Mallory Beach's family was suing them, I think, for $30 million.
Mm-hmm.
And Buster was sued because he gave Paul his license.
Yeah.
And he had already settled.
And
in the trial, he flipped off Mark Tinsley, and he got called on it by the judge. So, haha, you idiot.
Well, and then also keep in mind, he's also estranged from his wife during all this, because between what happened... Supposedly, what happened with Mallory Beach up until then, they started, kind of... because their family was, I guess, falling apart as far as everything that was going on and being sketchy and stuff like that. And then you want to fast forward while Sled is investigating and doing all this stuff, talking about that in I think it was September of 21.
Oh yeah, when he called 911 and said he was changing his tire and somebody stopped to help him, and then he got shot in the head.
First off, I'm just going to stop. Okay, so a lot of people said that the Murdaughs, they had a lot of money, right? But they didn't, splurge, in a sense. They were more chillaxed with their money. Yeah, some of them said this. I believe it was the HBO series one that they talked about.
That you cannot see me raising my eyebrow going, what?
Yes. And so... I personally, from hearing these stories and these cases and them having, nannies and people doing the yard and tending to, that he gets a flat tire on the side of the road, he's not calling AAA.
Mm-hmm.
No. I mean,
I'm not changing my tire, and I don't have any money.
No, I pay insurance. I pay AAA to come out and do that stuff. I mean, can I change a tire? Yes, I can.
I learned that in driver's ed.
Hashtag mom and dad. But, I mean, I'll do it if I have to, but if I'm in an area where I can do, call somebody and get help, I'm going to call AAA and have them come out and do it.
And he also complained that he didn't want to get hot and sweaty and go down to the kennels. So he's not going to get out of his car and change a tire, idiot.
Yeah, so there's a bunch of stuff that you go in there and you're going, okay, this doesn't sound right, and some rando guy pulls over on the side of the road, which, okay, yeah, that could happen, absolutely could happen. Could somebody shoot you? Yeah, okay, this sounds like a horror film starting. Anybody else see this? Because that's what happens in some of the horror movies that we watch at the very beginning. You have, the innocent person.
Yeah, but it's daytime.
Quote unquote. Hey.
So
it happens.
I know. So he, in the ambulance, is telling his whole bullshit story, and even does a sketch artist drawing of this person.
This young guy.
Yeah. So it turns out that it is this guy named Cousin Eddie. He's not related. I don't know why they call him Cousin Eddie.
Well, yeah. He's Cousin Eddie.
It's Alex, drug dealer. And he paid him $500,000 to shoot him in the head so that Buster would get Alex life insurance.
A $10 million insurance payout.
Oh, it's 12.
Right?
Yeah,
it's 12. It 12? Okay.
Yeah. So, I don't understand why he just didn't do it himself. Chicken shit. And so then Cousin Eddie said, look, if I was paid to kill him, he would be dead.
Yeah.
So that something hinky's in there. And then they said, well, why did you draw the sketch artist? He's like, well, when the person that I hired to kill me didn't kill me, I had to come up with some excuse why I got shot. So just a bunch of backwood hillbilly shenanigan bullshit. Yeah.
It's just so crazy. And then, of course, you know, in both the Netflix series and the HBO series, they've got the while he's in jail phone calls between Buster's
an asshole.
And
by the way,
Daddy.
Buster was kicked out of law school for plagiarism. So, yeah, he's an idiot.
So, but apparently he's got money somewhere. So,
again, I will tell you, after, it was sometime in July, somewhere around Labor Day, Alec and Buster went down to, like, Florida and the Keys.
And hopped on over to the Bahamas?
I think his money is over in the Bahamas because that's where that Bitcoin guy stole a bunch of money and basically said, I'm living in the Bahamas, you can't extradite me. Right. And they said, haha, yes we can. Because he really wasn't living in the Bahamas. So yeah. I think there is money in the Bahamas.
Well, there probably is.
And what the hell is with the Bahamas?
Hey, I went there. I enjoyed going there. There is some niceties to it, but there is some sketchy stuff, I won't lie, but
that's why you go to Belize. Everything is cheaper and you can live there for like reals.
Just gotta figure out how to get that money there, right?
Yes.
So
and speak Spanish.
Yes. So as of March of 2023, Alex Murdaugh faced a total of 102 grand jury criminal charges related to financial fraud and drugs. There was the Beach wrongful death lawsuit, 3 criminal murder for hire suicide schemes, and then 88 charges of embezzlement and other frauds, right?
Yes, so he was found guilty of Paul and Maggie's Murdaugh, and he was sentenced to life on both counts. Good luck serving 2 life sentences. And they didn't even mention the what is it? Something you have weapons during the commission of a homicide.
Oh.
The max was 5 years, but since he got a life sentence, you can't add 5, so...
Possession of a weapon during commission of a violent crime.
Yeah.
In the deaths of his wife Maggie and son Paul. That's... Okay, yeah.
So those 2 charges were basically negated because he got life on both.
So 2 lives plus 5 years.
Yes.
Ta-da!
Well, actually, it would be life plus 10.
Oh, yeah, okay, yep, gotcha.
Yeah. So, I would suggest watching both the Netflix special and the HBO Max special. Mandy, what'd I say? Dang it. Mandy Matney, her podcast on her podcast on the Murdaughs is just excellent. And if you can YouTube the judge's statement at sentencing, I think it basically sums up everything that he saw and took in at trial.
Yes.
Because he was not the person handing out the judgment. That was
right.
The jury.
That was the jury.
He was the one handing out the sentence.
Okay, gotcha.
So he saw all the evidence, saw all the arguments, all the testimony and came up with what I thought was a astounding picture of that sums up what I saw.
Okay.
And especially when he used Alex's own words against him. He's like, what was it you said? What a wild web we weave. And he's like, yeah, you did that. And it's
quite a web.
Yes.
That's for sure. And there are other media portrayals that you can look into. There's Investigation Discovery, the Murdaugh Murders, Deadly Dynasty, that came out last year. Campfire Studios also has the Murdaugh Dynasty that gets into a little bit more of that and stuff like that. Now, the big question is, now that all this is kind of set, remember, they still have evidence that opened up this Stephen Smith case, so we still may have more. And that
was brought up again. Was it either yesterday or today?
Okay.
In closing,
So there could be more
that
he could be going after.
I will say that one of the first things that Alex said, who he basically blamed, was he always kept saying it had to do with the boat case.
Yep.
Not the people that were involved in the boat case.
But the boat case itself.
No, but the social media.
Yes.
And the people on the internet. And he's like, all the horrible things that these people were saying, all the misinformation about Paul and how he was getting beat up. He was not getting beat up. Okay. Yeah. And I do not think, he thinks some rando came to Moselle when Maggie and Paul were not supposed to be there, by the way. I think that Alec lured them there. But he says that some rando
off the street
got so upset about the internet that they show up at Moselle with no guns, because they're like, oh, I guess they'll have guns here, just laying around,
lodge, right,
laying around.
Yeah.
So, the internet are trolls, okay, or lurkers. Yeah. I'm a lurker. You know, you say shit, but that doesn't mean you back it up.
Yeah. And I mean, like
look, Twitter is a dumpster fire.
Look, social media can sometimes be good, and a lot of times it can be bad.
Good for quick information, bad for bullying and putting people down.
Yes, absolutely. And it takes those people that come out and say, hey, look, we're not trying to bully anybody whatsoever at all, but we're saying what our opinion is because, well, we're thinking about it and we're just chatting about it, because this is big right now. It's in the media and stuff like that. This case has been very, very large, and it reminds me of the Amanda. I know you know.
If you say Amanda Knox.
Amanda Knox?
No, I think that's bull.
And then, no, the other case. Help me out here. The girl in Florida.
The Casey Anthony lady.
Casey Anthony.
Yeah, she's drowned her baby.
But here's my thing. The media, the social networking started feeding a lot of this information, putting that information out there, and it built up to be a big case. And of course, U.S. media got involved, and then everybody else got involved, and everything else like that, where stuff like this typically used to stay in a small town, and it would never hit the media this large. So yes, it's good. yes, it's bad.
Because you have misinformation.
Exactly.
Somebody can put Donald Trump, just some rando BS on the internet, and people will believe it. I don't believe Donald Trump. The man's a doofus. So I try to stay with more reputable sources, but in today's media, it is getting harder and harder to find reputable information. Like I said with the whole Prince Harry thing, anybody can call themselves a royal correspondent.
You're absolutely right.
So, I mean, I'm sure that there was tons of misinformation, but...
Right, but there is also some information where people, there's no reason for them to lie.
Right.
Anything. And I'll throw a bad egg out there. Donald Trump, he's thrown stuff out there too where it's, hey, I ain't gonna let y'all let this hide here. This is the truth. What's going on here is an open book. Mm-hmm. You know, I say everybody is good and bad. It's how you take it and put it out there. Mm-hmm. And just...
I don't trust anybody at their word. You have to prove to me. Prove it.
Prove it. Be honest. You know, your parents teach you when you're young. Honesty is the best policy. I teach my daughter, I'm never going to be mad if you tell me the truth. And if you have evidence to back it up, I'm really going to be I'm going to be in your corner and I'm going to back you.
But if you lie and I catch you, I'm going to beat your bottom.
I'm going to be highly upset. Because I sat there and put my word out saying, I trust what you're saying. So...
You just poo-pooed on me.
Yeah, so this case, like I said, I feel terrible for the families that had to go through all this. I'm sorry for the jury that had to be taken away for their families and couldn't be around to know what was going on, to see all this other stuff, and had to really go through this. I mean,
sorry for families that still don't have answers, like Stephen Smith's family and
yes.
Gloria Satterfield's family.
Absolutely. And it just, and now they're probably, I mean, they may find out, but they may not.
I don't think we will ever 100% sure find out what happened that night at Moselle unless somebody comes up with a time machine and goes back in time, and of all the places that I want to go, that ain't one of them. But I mean, I guess if you got 5 minutes, you know, whatever.
Just make a quick pop over there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and, you know, my next thing, and I know social media is going to... I mean, with how much the case has been going on and how much information, how they already have all these podcast documentaries and stuff like that of this. When's the movie? Because...
Oh, I've already decided that Morgan Freeman should play the judge.
Okay.
Because he has a lovely, deep voice, and he was a very, very wonderful man.
Yes, he is. But I got a feeling this is one of those that they may turn into a film.
I did call it the telenovela Lifetime movie hybrid baby, because this is some jacked up
stuff.
Yes.
So, but yeah, I mean,
on a lighter note, closing out that whole Murdaugh thing, on a lighter note, Chelsea and I are both Team Selena in this whole Hailey Bieber, Nee Baldwin versus Selena Gomez thing. Just because Selena needs to get back to work so that I can watch season 3 of Only Murders in the Building.
You know what? I think that should be our next podcast, is talking about
Only Murders in the Building. I liked it. I can't get my parents to watch it, but whatever.
Well, if you guys got anything that you think we need to see or watch, or you want to deep dive about or discuss,
or just comment and say how awesome you think our podcast is,
just drop us a like, share this with your friends and family. And
you can email us at AmusingswithChelsea&Angee @gmail.com, or you can comment and leave a review on Apple Podcasts, or you can send us a comment on that Spotify.
So until next time, I guess we'll chat with you guys later. Bye.
Bye.